Module 11, Importing Data. In Module 11, we'll be covering importing data from text files, importing data from Microsoft Access, exercises and their solutions, and a final summary. So why import data into Excel? Some data held in other programs becomes static and unusable. Importing this data into Excel allows for further analysis and calculation. Almost any data can be converted to text and imported into Excel, allowing for a wide variety of different types of analysis. Finally, importing from Microsoft Access into Excel is a useful tool for sharing data with others not used to a database program. So let's begin. As you can see, I've started with an empty Excel spreadsheet. I've gone ahead and created a Word document for a fictional nightclub with the following data ranges: the month of January, the dates within January, the bands that played, the ticket price, and the attendance. If we try to copy and paste this data into Excel, it becomes completely disorganized. The cells are separated, and if the data range was any larger, it would take quite a while to put right. The solution to this problem is to use the import text function within Excel. So let's go back to the Word document to begin. There are a few methods to import our data from our Word file into Excel. The first method is to use the File tab, go to Save As, and change the file type from a Word document to a plain text document. This will open the file conversion window and gives us a preview of what our text will look like once it's opened in another text editing program. The second method is to copy our data, use the Start menu, navigate through all programs to Accessories to Notepad, and paste our data directly into it. As you can see, some of the tabs have shifted slightly, where smaller band names required more tabs to move the ticket price further along, whereas longer band names only required one. While we can make our alterations here before we import into Excel, Excel will take these differences into account. So let's go back to Excel and start importing our text. So let's start importing data into Excel. The first thing we need to do is go to the Data tab in the ribbon, select From Text from the Get External Data section, and then navigate to where our file is held. In this case, it's the desktop. Click on the file, and then click Import. The Text Import wizard opens. This window has 3 stages, and we'll go through each one. First of all, there's 2 types of data that can be imported: delimited or fixed width. Delimited data is data that's separated by tabs, spaces, or characters. In our example, our text is separated by tabs, so we'll select this option. If our text was separated by columns, we'd use the fixed width option. We can also change where our importation starts. Right now it's selected at row 1, but we can easily change this by either typing in the row we wish for or using the up and down buttons on the right. The file type is a Windows file, so we don't need to change this, but there are other options attached. Our data does have headers, so we'll check this box. A preview of what our data may look like is here on the bottom. Once we're happy, we select Next. Step 2 of the Text Import wizard is centered around the use of delimiters. Remember, delimiters are the objects between data that we use to separate them. In our case, we use tabs, and as you can see, this is selected. But almost anything can be a delimiter: semicolons, commas, spaces, or any other character, even letters and numbers. If we'd used a letter or a number as a delimiter, we can specify that by ticking the radio button and typing in the character used as the delimiter. As we use tabs, our preview specifies this below, and we can see the spaces where the tabs were used. There is an unnecessary column here and our prices and our attendance are separated into two columns when they really should be in one. That's where this option comes in handy. Treat consecutive delimiters as one counts all tabs or all delimiters between data as one object. Once this is ticked, watch the data preview below. Everything tidies up. Each tab between data is counted as one single tab. The third step of the text import wizard is to define what type of data is held within our columns. Each column can be selected individually and its data type changed. Our first column, for example, is date data, which we can select here. Our second column is textual, which we can select here, and the last two we'll leave as general. Our third column, which is financial, we can change once we're in Excel. Finally, with our import data, Excel wishes to know how we wish to view this data and where we'd like to put it. In our case, we want it in our existing worksheet at the absolute range of cell A1 right at the beginning. Or if we wish, we can add this to a brand new worksheet. We'll put this in this particular worksheet, and to finish we'll press OK. As we can see, our headers have appeared, the night spot, the month of January, date, band, ticket price and attendance are all within range, and all our data is defined nice and neatly within our new spreadsheet. Here we have a simple one-table database in Microsoft Access. The data stored within Microsoft Access can also be used within Excel. So let's see how that's done. Now let's try importing data from Microsoft Access into Excel. The method is very similar. We start by going to the Data tab in the ribbon and choosing From Access from the Get External Data section. It asks us to navigate to where our database is stored. In this case, it's on the desktop, and it's the Book Database 1. Click Open, and the Data Link Properties window is open. The Data Link Properties window has quite a few options, and some are more complicated than others. For example, the database we need to connect to may be stored online or held behind a server. The options to access it through Excel are held within this window. For our example, our database is held on the desktop of this computer, as we can see with the address line here under the data source. If our database is stored behind a password, or stored behind a computer with a password, we can access it through this option here. Once we're happy that everything's correct, we click OK. Next, the database initialization information window opens in case there's anything further we need to add. The most important aspect of this window is the open mode here on the bottom. Right now, our open mode is database mode read-write, which means we can edit the information once it arrives into Excel. There are further options, all centered around editing and sharing the database information. Once we're happy, click OK, and finally the Import Data window opens. The Import Data window opens and asks us how we wish to view the data and where we wish to store it. For us, we require a table, and we wish to store it in the existing worksheet at the absolute range of cell A1. Once we're happy, we click OK. And as you can see, our database information in Access is imported into Excel perfectly. For our first exercise, we'll try importing data from a text file. In the Module 11 folder, you'll find a notepad file called the Night Spot exercise. Import this data into Excel. So let's see how it's done. First, we select the Data tab in the ribbon and choose From Text from the Get External Data section. Navigate to the file we need and select Import. The text import wizard opens, and we know that our data is delimited, so we leave this option. We also wish it to start at row 1, and we also know that our data has headers, so we select this box. We then click Next. Checking the data preview below, we can see our delimiters are not tabs like they were in the example, but percentage symbols. So we need to choose Other, and then define the character. As you can see, the data preview updates immediately. We click Next again. Now we need to define the data in their columns. The first column is date data, so we select this radio button, and the second is text, so we select this radio button. We'll leave the last two columns as they are. We click Finish, and finally we choose our data to appear in our existing worksheet and click OK. As you can see, the data from the text file is perfectly imported. For the next exercise, let's try importing data from Microsoft Access into Excel. This can be a complicated process and will be covered further in later modules. To keep things simple for this exercise, in your Module 11 folder you'll find a Microsoft Access database file called Book Database 1. Import this information into Excel. Feel free to go over the demonstrations or the handouts if you need any further help. Okay, so to import data from Microsoft Access into Excel, we first go to the Data tab, choose From Access in the Get External Data section, and navigate to our file. We select our file and click Open. While there are many options here, everything else is already set up ready to go. So all we need to do here is press OK and OK again. We wish our data to be in table format in our existing worksheet, so we press OK. And it imports perfectly. Importing from Microsoft Access into Excel can be a complicated process, especially when some databases have many different users or are stored online. But we'll be covering this in further modules. And so to summarize, the benefits of being able to import data from other programs into Excel opens up a wide variety of options that previously weren't available. Data of almost any description can be imported into Excel, analyzed and calculated. The interaction between Access and Excel allows users the opportunity to use two complementary programs to analyze and visualize data in a whole new way. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next module.